name is Jeremy Deans. I'm an assistant professor of geology at the University of Southern Mississippi. I'm on the Georges Resolution on top of Brothers Volcano along the Kermadec Arc north of New Zealand. So I'm a structural geologist. My responsibilities are to measure any structural features in the core. So there are three main structures that I've been seeing and observing. So first we have volcanic structures. When the lava is molten, when it's a liquid, it moves like honey. And if you can imagine a bubble in the honey, if the honey is flowing down a hill, that bubble may align with that movement. Think about like a log in a stream. The log is going to orient itself down the flow of the stream. So things that are in the lava, like a crystal, will do the same thing. If large portions of the lava are all moving in the same direction, then all of those things should be aligned. And I can measure the orientation of these things. So I also measure the fractures. And so here's an example of a fracture. So you can see on this face, it's kind of a darker black, and here it's lighter. So that would indicate that it's interacted with seawater. You can also see this yellow stuff, which is actually native sulfur, which is common to volcanic systems. So volcanic gas that's degassing often has sulfur in it. So I would measure the orientation of this as well. Then kind of down temperature, I look at alteration veins. Veins are fractures that open, so the rock has to be broken, so it's a brittle feature, and then fluids come in and fill that void. The fluid has to be carrying dissolved ions, and then those ions have to be able to precipitate, much like salt would if you were to evaporate seawater. Different fluids have different dissolved ions, so you get different vein types. So the veins can actually tell us quite a bit about the alteration sequence, depending on what orientation they are and then what type of crystals fill the vein. Plate tectonics is the unifying theory of the Earth. When you start looking at the distribution of structures, the distribution of earthquakes, the distribution of volcanoes all across the world, you really start to see everything pretty well fits in. Now we have found some interesting anomalies. The Brothers Volcano is one of those anomalies because it's not quite in the volcanic chain you'd expect, considering the geometry of the plate here. So that also places kind of an interesting variation on what we might find here. I mean, the rocks are really just amazing. I mean, it's amazing that we're the first people to see these rocks at this depth. No one's ever looked at this. There's no other record like this on Earth. So in many ways, we're kind of explorers of the deep. So this is my third time on the Georges Resolution. The time on board has been instrumental in my development as a scientist. We have scientific talks every day. You get to talk to other disciplines, other groups. We get to talk to people from all over the world with different viewpoints on science and culturally. Personally and scientifically, I've grown a lot through these expeditions. And every day there's something new. Either you learn from a fellow scientist or the new rocks that come up. It's really an amazing experience.